What would you tell us about the importance of mental health in dealing with tragedy and building resilience? And given the national climate, which can be frustrating, what do you see that gives hope for the future?
One of the things that I see that gives hope for the future, like I said, was the kids, but we do need to deal with mental health. That's a big thing. We have a youth program down in Miami where we do a youth summit, and that's some of the things that we talk about. Bullying, that's your mental state. When you're doing good in school, that's a mental state. When you're not able to do good in school, that's a mental state. So we need to talk to our kids. We need to maybe have them evaluated, which is something that we never really grew up doing. Your crazy uncle, your crazy aunt that you had in your family when you was growing up, you just close the door and leave them in there. Nobody evaluated them. So now I'm glad that there's something in place where they can be evaluated so they can come up with whatever diagnosis that they need to find out what's wrong with them so that they get the proper care and medication. A lot of people don't like to hear that word medication, but sometimes you need to have medication. Sometimes you need medication to calm you down, or maybe you need medication to pep you up. And so I'm just glad that now people are going to therapy. I tried therapy. I believe it was too early for me. My job paid for it. It was grief counseling. I did nothing but sit there and cry, so it wasn't beneficial at the time. But I think if I would have waited a little while longer, then I would have been able to express myself. I wasn't able to express myself at the time, and so it didn't work for me at that particular time. But I'm not ashamed. If I need counseling, I need counseling. A lot of times people go to their church, to the pastor or whatever. But I just think if whatever you need to find out. If something happens with your legs or your arm, you're going to the doctor. So if something is wrong with your mind, you need to be evaluated, and you need to go to the doctor so you can be treated.
It does seem like the stigma is slowly but surely being removed. Real quick, Malachi, I just want to go back to something we were talking about off camera, Ms. Fulton, is how, going back to your Circle of Mothers program, getting involved and getting connected with people who, again, unfortunately have experienced that type of pain, that type of tragedy, was far more beneficial for you, and that you seem to be more beneficial for other mothers than a trained professional otherwise would be, because, of course, having been through the situation.
I believe that just me being in a room with other mothers and people say, I know how you feel, and they actually knew how I feel. So when I say that, when I'm talking to the Circle of Mothers and I say, I know how you feel, they can relate to it because they're going through the same thing that I went through. My first speaker for the Circle of Mothers was Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur. And that was one of the things that she said. She said she had never been in a room of her peers. So she considered all of us her peers because at that time, she didn't go out and speak much. And whatever she said, she meant it. Mm-hmm. And that's how she felt. She told us during that particular conference that we had that she was in a room of her peers, and she said it just feels so good just to be amongst other people who really understand how I feel. And so that's the same thing that I feel. I think that a part of my healing was because I was helping other mothers, because I was reaching out to other mothers, because I was visiting other mothers. So I didn't want them to I didn't want to show my weakness. So I went to them and I portrayed to be this strong person, and I so became that strong person. And so I think sometimes we just got to push through the pain. We got to push through the pain with a purpose and say, listen, she needs my help. Yeah. I'm going through something, but she needs my help. And that kind of took the pressure off of what I was going through.
Malachi?
So we're also getting some questions about that book in between you two right there. Can you talk a little bit about that right there, please?
Okay, this book came out last year. In 2017, we did a tour, a book tour where we went to different cities. This book has my life in there. A lot of times people say this book is a story. It's not a story for me. It's my life.